From politics to sports to tech, we're disagreeing more than we ever have, and polarization is at an all-time high. That's what I want to talk to you about on this week's Wednesday Checkup. Let's dive in. In my everyday personal and professional life, I'm seeing more disagreements, but not just more disagreements, ones that are devolving into name-calling, fist fights, loss of friendships. In doing the research and listening to speakers, reading books on the subject, I found a lot of great ideas as to why polarization is at an all-time high. They talk about how technology puts a wedge and drives us apart, about how media and social media leads us to live in an echo chamber, only hearing ideas we already agree with, about how divisive political leaders lead us to be more fervent than ever in our political beliefs. But what they don't talk about is how our minds have been responding to this huge influx of information over the last 2 decades. Before, we only had to be aware of what was going on in our local communities, perhaps a nationwide story here or there if it was really big. But nowadays, if something happens in Sri Lanka, the notification comes to your phone in mere minutes. In fact, we can get updates on what's going on in space. That's crazy. Second is technology. I feel like I have to get a new iPhone every 3 months, and I have to learn how to use it. When I'm in the hospital, I have to figure out how to use the electronic health record, which is just a total mess despite the fact that we have such amazing technological advancements. 3, we have to keep up to date with new scientific advancements. There's a new research article published pretty much every minute. You have to know what stem cells are, the dangers of vaping, what CBD is all about. That takes a lot of mental fortitude. And finally, 4 is new obligations. Before, if you went home, your job did not have access to you. But now because of email and text messages, you're never off the clock. This stuff that I'm talking about here is really just the tip of the iceberg. All of this takes up your mental facilities, fatigues your mind, and drains your willpower. When you don't have willpower, when you don't have mental stamina, you're gonna make decisions reflexively and based on your preconceived notions. You may say to yourself, what's wrong with resorting to my gut instinct? What's wrong on relying on my preconceived notions? Well, when you do that, you can fall victim to tribalistic thinking, essentially us versus them mentality. That's not a healthy mentality to take if you A, want to learn something, or B, if you want to convince someone of your position. The takeaway here is going to be quite simple. As with most unhealthy mental behaviors, the first step is to identify when you're doing it. So if you catch yourself thinking reflexively, tribalistically, primitively, identify it, and then follow these 3 steps to conquer it. First, give yourself enough time to properly digest all of the information. Remember, bigger issues require more time commitment. Second, use charitable thinking. Don't villainize the other party, as it's just gonna put a stone in between you and make it more difficult for you to see eye to eye. And finally, third, don't be afraid to step away if you find yourself getting emotional. Discuss it at a later date. That type of emotional maturity is hard to come by, but you can get it if you practice it. That was a tiny bit heavy, but if you want to see 2 doctors having an absolute blast, click here for my Medical Whisper Challenge. As always, stay happy and healthy.